Hello everybody. Tonight we're going to make a Greek dish known as kokinisto. Now kokinisto in Greek means red. Kokino is red. So anything to do with a tomato base in the Greek or in the Europe for that matter is kokinisto. You can use lamb, beef, chicken or any other meat you like. But today we're going to make it with lamb. Now the ingredients we're going to need for this simple dish, it's very simple. What we're going to need, of course, is our lamb chops, onions, of course, garlic, and we're going to need a tin of diced tomatoes, salt and pepper, some mixed herbs, cinnamon sticks, of course fresh ground oregano, some cloves, and just a little bit of green herbs fresh out of the garden. Not a great deal, just a little bit there, just towards the end, just for flavouring. Okay, now let's start. Okay, the first thing we do, of course, is pour in some olive oil into the pot. Not a great deal, because we're going to get a bit of oil from the actual lamb chops themselves. We just wait for that to heat up a little. Just let it heat up a little bit there. First thing to go in, of course, is the onions. We need to cook the onions first. So in they go, just like that. Straight in. Just give them all a nice little browning in there. As you can see, just about every traditional dish does have onions and garlic. Now that onion and garlic mix is the base for just about everything. Now while these things are just cooking up a little bit, we don't want to overcook them. We just want to be just a very, very light crystallization of them, just enough to have that onion smell come out. And as you can see, we didn't chop them up too finely because we don't want them, of course, to just become mush. We just want them nice and firm as such. Now that's just about pretty much there. Just let that cook for another half a minute or so. We get a nice bit of a texture on it. It's becoming nice and soft. And of course now we'll add in the garlic as well. Just pop it in. Fresh garlic again, as we spoke about. Fresh garlic, nothing like it. Forget all that other stuff. That squeeze in the tube. Fresh garlic paste, that's all just rubbish. What you want is the real deal. And right now, this is what we're having in here, is the real deal. Now while these things are actually cooking, you can start to smell them, you can start to see them. It's all happening. And see, we don't want to, like I said, we don't want to overcook any of this. Next thing we'll do, of course, is chuck in the meat so we can brown it off. Now I've chucked in here an extra piece of bone, because bone is what actually gives this dish a really nice flavour. So we're just sort of going to stir this into it a bit. As you can see, the meat's starting to sort of change colour already. So we just stir it up a bit more. That's it, nice and slow, just let that sit there for a bit. As you can see, once again, I've used the thin chops again, not those thick ones, because I really don't want to be standing here cooking this for hours on end. Although if you can have a different cut, you can put a shoulder lamb in here, but all that, the size of the meat you use determines how long you're going to be cooking it for. At this rate, and with the sort of meat we have in here and the size of the cut, we're looking at probably about an hour and a half on a nice, not too hot, but a medium heat. Let all that nicely blend in there. pick up all of its flavors and everything else that goes with it. And again, we don't have to actually use what I'm using here. We can use all sorts of different spices in there if you like. You can put some chili in there if you're a chili fan. You can put just about any spice you like in here. But today I'm going to keep it simple and basically the way my mum showed me how to cook this thing 100 years ago. So there we are. As you can see, it's starting to brown off a little. We'll just give it another bit of a stir up, get rid of that red. The ones that meat starts to turn a little bit brown. It doesn't have to be, you know, sizzled or anything. Just as long as the red is gone. And it's all just happening there. Having a really nice strong flame for this would be great. So we'll just let that there just simmer for a bit. Now that our meat is starting to actually brown off and pretty much seal, and it's all nice and firm still. Now we're going to start out adding in our ingredients. Look at that. Smelling nice. Okay, first thing that goes in, of course, is the salt and pepper. So we'll put a little bit of salt in there. Pepper. Always use cracked pepper. And then we have our diced tomatoes. Simple ring pull out. Just pour them in. Give them a nice little stir. Get all that tomato stuff going through it. See, we get a nice tomato base in there, hence our kokinisto topic. Tomato based. No, tomato based dishes are not everybody's cup of tea, but the ones that actually like them will love this. Now, moving along, we need a bit of cinnamon. Cinnamon in Greek dishes is always a must. Not a great deal. Bit of mixed spice. It's always a nice one to pop in there. Good, not too much. Cinnamon sticks. Just cut them open. Pull one out. Don't need much, probably about half of that. Break that in half. Put some of this stuff back. Always good for another day. And of course, there's the old cloves. We need the cloves in there. Again, not a great deal. That's plenty there. Put some back. We don't want the cloves to overpower everything. A little bit of sweet paprika in there. Give a bit of bite. And of course, the oregano. We need lots of that in there because this really brings out the flavour of everything. And we just give that a little stir so everything mixes in there nicely. Now while I've been doing this, I've had some water heat up. And the reason for the water heating up is because you don't want to put cold water in here. So you basically want to just keep it going, keep the heat going. And we'll put enough water in here to just pretty much cover the chops. There's plenty in there, plenty of room for them to swim in. And we're just going to let that simmer boil for about good 30 minutes. You don't want to put the heat on too high, otherwise it will just overcook everything. And then the flavours themselves won't get a chance to generate. However, if you put it into a nice simmer on a medium heat, it'll work out quite fine. Now there is another little thing I want to add in here, and I might as well do it now. I'm going to give away my secret. My secret is this: olives. Now olives is very, very European. Greeks love them, Italians, Spaniards, they all love olives. So what I do, not only do I use the olives, I also put a little bit of olive juice in there as well, that the olives come in. Reason that is, it gives all the tomato and everything a nicer Mediterranean flavour. In they go, in there, that easy. Again, just a little stir so we can get them all in there. And for the ones who don't like olives, like as they are coming out of a tin, you'll find that the olives actually taste a lot different and nicer when they've been cooked with. Just like you get them on a pizza. Who agrees that olives on pizza taste better than what they do on their own? And there we have it. All the ingredients are in, all except for the tomato paste, and that would come in a little bit later on. And the tomato paste would actually just thicken the sauce a bit more. But all of our main ingredients are in there. So we're going to let this simmer, like I said, for about half an hour, 45 minutes in a nice sort of medium warm heat. And then we're going to add the tomato paste and our garden fresh herbs to sort of finish it off with. Now that our kokinisto has been simmering, sort of like cooked simmering sort of thing for about 30 minutes now, as you can see the lamb chops are starting to get nice and tender. Now the next thing we need to add in here, keep it all going, is our tomato paste. Now I'm going to dilute that in a little bit of warm water just to get it nice and runny, and that should thicken the sauce up. Now, as you can see here, I've just added a little bit of warm water, just enough to just get it all nice and runny. Pump it all into there. Little stir. Now the tomato paste will actually make the sauce just a little bit thicker. Pop that over here. And we get our favourite spoon and we give it a nice little stir. Nice and gentle, because you don't want to be breaking meat off bones, and then it becomes a bit of a more of a slop than a stew. And then we have it. Now we just put that back on the simmer while this is simmering out for the last leg of its cooking time. You can traditionally eat these with spaghetti, rice, homemade chippies, so you can put the sauce over the chippies. Kids love the chips. Personally, I'm a spaghetti man. So while this is on its last leg, I'm just going to cook my spaghetti. Now that we're just about done, my spaghetti's been cooked. My stew, kokinisto, is just about done. The only thing left to do now is to put my, as you can see, my few little garden herbs in there. I'll just pop them straight in here, just like that. Let it stir, and they will just have enough time to infuse, and we'll also give the red a bit of a colour as well. And now that our herbs are in there, all I need to do now is just to let it simmer here for another couple of minutes. It'll be just enough time for me to put the spag into a bowl, put some of this on it, and we're ready to serve. Okay. That smells nice. Time to serve our kokinisto with spaghetti. Okay. Nice big bowl for all your hard eaters out there. There's a nice freshly cooked spaghetti. And depending on how hungry your troops are and how much spaghetti you put in there, we are there. Just give that another little stir before we start spooning it out. Just a little stir, not much, just to make it all nice. Make sure everything is all mixed well. Okay. Down. There we are. We got that. lamb choppies over our spaghetti. And now we get our ladle so we can pick up the juice with. We can just pour that over the top. Now, Parmesan cheese would go really well with that, as you can see. Look at that. That's just like Mama used to make. Now, personally, I prefer to grate some feta cheese over the top of it. I prefer the nice feta cheese and Parmesan cheese on my spaghetti. So, ladies and gentlemen, one lamb kokinisto with spaghetti. Enjoy.